All right, good evening, and here we are at the Hanson Select Board meeting of Tuesday, April 9th, 2024. And this meeting is being recorded by Whitman Hanson Community Access Television. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
My mother, just so you know.
Oh, jeez.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Let's start off with the public announcements and upcoming meetings. Shall we, Mrs. Rain?
Let's shall. We are looking for citizens at large to become members of the following committees: Bylaw Committee, Cable and Internet Committee, Community Preservation Committee, Capital Improvement Committee, Cultural Council, Economic Development Committee, Energy Committee, Historical Commission, McQuon Reuse Committee, Memorial Day and Patriotic Observance Committee, Recreation Commission, and the Zoning Board of Appeals. Volunteer applications may be found on the town website, www.hanson-ma.gov, or by calling the Select Board's office at 781-293-2131. A reminder to all of Town of Hanson residents, fourth quarter fiscal year 24 real estate and personal property taxes are due on Wednesday, May 1st, 2024. To make paying taxes more convenient, the Town of Hanson offers the option to pay your taxes online at www.hanson-ma.gov. If payments are mailed, please address to the Town of Hanson, Treasurer Collector's Office, 542 Liberty Street, Hanson, Mass. 02341. Upcoming meetings: Select Board, April 23rd, 2024. Select Board, May 6th, 2024, special annual town meeting. Select Board, May 6th. Why is that duplicated? Should that be May 6th?
I think one is May 6th special town meeting, one is May 6th
No, they
annual
both
town.
are,
Yeah,
it's identical.
Yeah,
Says
yeah.
May 7th.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, yeah, May 7th, special annual town meeting, in case we overflow. I also have from Karen Stolfer at the library announcements for the meeting, that Hanson Public Library is excited to host the 6th annual Nancy Capellini Family Fun Day on Friday, April 19th from 10 a.m. to noon, featuring the Flying High Dogs Canine Frisbee Show. That sounds like fun.
That does sound
Face
fun.
painting, a spring craft, and refreshments. Pre-registration is required for the dog show. Other activities are drop-in. Visit hansonlibrary.org/calendar to register and to learn about other vacation week events. The Hanson Public Library is applying for a state construction grant for a new or renovated library building. We'll have an article at town meeting to appropriate funding in anticipation of the planning and design phase of a project. Residents are invited to attend an informational session on Thursday, April 18th at 11:30 a.m. or Thursday, April 25th at 6:30 p.m. to learn more and ask questions about the grant the towns need for the new library facility and the warrant article. The library is also pleased to share news about the completion of a library building program, which is based on community input and describes what a new Hanson library could be like. A copy of the document is available at hansonlibrary.org/building-project.
Okay, and since we're talking about the library, a shout out to them for their solar eclipse activities yesterday. It was so lovely. It was multi-generational, intergenerational, and multi-generational, and historic, and they did a great job. So shout out to them. So with that, let's hit it, shall we, Lisa? School assessment discussion.
Okay. So, Kate, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, so myself and Select Board Chair attended the school committee, Whitman Hanson Regional School District School Committee meeting on Monday, April 8th, where they had a lengthy discussion on the school assessment. And after a lengthy discussion, the superintendent did provide them with a scenario that would lower the assessment to the town of Whitman and Hanson. So what they ended up with after a lengthy discussion was they accepted and voted to approve a a school budget of 4.04%, which equals a assessment to the town of Hanson at 7.68%, which equals $14,974,736. The assessment for Whitman is 7.87%, which is $19,135,687. So they did vote this last night unanimously. I believe there was one member that was absent, but they did vote this assessment to the towns, and here we are today to discuss the next steps.
So, yeah, so they came down a little over 900,000. They used excess and deficiency, and they used circuit breaker money, and then there were some positions that will, you know, where people are leaving that they will not be filling, and the like. So it, you know, I think what Jeff Simonek said last night, what the superintendent said last night, was that this would not negatively impact educational outcomes, but that they needed to dig in the interest of trying to meet everybody halfway. So I know we had wanted 5%, but that is not what we have. We have a little over 7, closer to 8. And so as we've discussed, you know, we can't, it's not our job to vote the assessment or even approve the assessment that is handed to us by the school committee, but we do need to decide how we fund it if voters want to do that. And we had all discussed we did not want to make dire cuts to our own personnel as a result of that gap, of the delta between the 5% and where they've ended up on the assessment. So in order to do that, historically, we in the past couple of weeks, we've talked about an override that is specifically for the school, which would be for that delta. And the way that it would be presented in the warrant would be 5% is what we can afford and what we have said we can afford and what our budget is going to be based on. And then the other budget for the school would be the budget that would include the override, and it would be the full assessment that we're receiving. At town meeting, folks would need to vote to place that on the ballot, and then if it was placed on the ballot, it would need to pass in order for the funding to happen. Similarly, Whitman is going through that same exercise with all of the same pieces in place, just different dollar amounts at play. Again, you know, I don't think anybody's leaving feeling victorious, but I do think that it's definitely better than it was a week ago. So there's that. So, Ms. Green, what is the delta between the 5% and the assessment that we received? Like, what's the dollar amount of the override, I guess would be a different way to put it.
So the dollar amount of the override is $372,141.
Can you say that again?
$372,141. At the school committee meeting last evening, I was asked by school committee member Fred Small what the impact would be to taxpayers.
Yep.
And I did provide some figures, but I'd like to make a correction to that because I didn't have the information right in front of me. But just to give an idea, a house that is assessed at about $499,000, the estimated single-family tax bill impact would be $94.98. And it could go up from there for anything assessed at 1.5 million, $294.50. And this is annually. So that would be yearly.
Okay.
So
And I know that we will be putting out a revised chart with the new assessment.
We will be, yes,
Yeah.
that will go up, yes, that'll be going up tomorrow.
So that people can go out there and calculate on their own.
Yes.
What their individual impact will be. Did anybody have any questions or comments?
Comments?
can you repeat the number one more time? What were we assessed at?
Yeah, what was that a percentage?
So the percent is.
I thought I heard 4, but.
It's 7.68%,
What was Whitman's?
and Whitman is 7.87%.
Okay, all right. For some reason, I thought I
No,
heard 4 earlier.
she said that their budget increased by 4%, but the
Okay.
assessment is,
Is in
a
the
whole
sevens,
different
yeah,
piece of
okay.
it.
Yeah, so the overall Whitman Hanson Regional School District, their budget increase was 4.
Okay, I just wanted to.
Yeah.
I appreciate that, thank you. Just want to make sure I have the right numbers.
Okay, so did anybody have anything that they wanted to say about that, or comments, or?
I guess for the sake of the information, going into town meeting, what happens if at town meeting, people do not vote to put it on the ballot? And then what happens if they do vote to put it on the ballot and then it doesn't win at the ballot?
If it doesn't go to the ballot, well, I guess you have to kind of like deconstruct it, because you've got to have an equilibrium between the two towns, I
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
guess
but
would be the
just-
way.
just focus
Yeah.
on Hanson, though.
Okay, so
Yeah.
for Hanson, if we don't vote to put it on the ballot, then it's 5% as far as we're concerned, and then we'd have to see what happened with Whitman.
Mm-hmm.
And if that same thing happened, then the school committee could come back to us with a new assessment.
Mm-hmm.
But if they didn't, then it would stand at 5. Let's say,
Yeah,
if that
yeah.
happened.
I just want to try and keep it
Yeah,
simple for
yeah.
now.
And if, for some reason, there's some dissonance there, and like, we pass it at town meeting, and we pass it at the ballot, and then Whitman doesn't, then again, you've got that dissonance, and then at that point, we would, I think again, the school would have the opportunity to set a new assessment. We'd have to go to super town meeting if they don't, we'll have a super town meeting, which nobody wants to do. And until the super town meeting happens, I believe they're at a 1/12 budget. Kate, can you, articulate, what happens if Whitman doesn't pass it, or Hanson doesn't pass it and the other town does?
If Whitman or Hanson rejects the budget, so they don't pass it in full based on the full assessment, it's considered a rejection.
Yeah.
And the school committee can decide exactly what you said, to force another town meeting and then ultimately force a special town meeting. If both, now, the other option for the school committee is to take the lesser amount. So let's say Hanson votes to approve only the lesser amount,
yep.
and Whitman approves the greater amount. They can choose to accept the lesser amount and adjust Whitman's proportion accordingly, and accept that and try to work within their budget to do that. In any circumstance, they can do that as well.
Okay, all right, so,
Can I ask a
No,
question?
it's helpful. Just,
What did we find out about their free cash, their reserves, their whatever in the school department?
yeah, that's why they, to be clear, Mr. Simonek initially had outlined this as one of the options that he had presented to the school committee. This was always on the table. But at the first vote, I think the school committee, what I'm hearing happened was that they said, well, we're hearing the two towns talk about an override, we're going for the gusto. We're gonna go for the, the maximum, I'm not saying that for
I believe
like
it.
dramatic
I believe
effect.
it.
No, I'm not saying, I think their feeling was like, if they're gonna do an override anyway, and that's how we're gonna fund this delta between the 5% and whatever we vote, then let's not cut back on anything, and let's try to keep as much E&D and circuit breaker money as we can. I am not defending this,
No, I
nor
know.
am I trying to condemn them. I'm just stating that this is the perspective. And like I said, and then I think, karma has prevailed, and I try to understand what people's perspectives are on things, and they are elected to do a job, we're elected to do a different job. And that's why at budget time, it may feel like we're on very opposite sides of the spectrum, but they're doing what they think they need to do, which is advocate for the students. We're trying to balance the town's budget. And I don't want to say never the twain shall meet, because I'm eternally hopeful that the twain shall meet at some point in the future, but they haven't historically met all that often, so, and so this is a bit like Groundhog Day every year. We have some, you know, I don't know, I guess some version of this same dance that we do.
Wouldn't it have been nice if they said, instead of going for the gusto, we have to work with these people because they're all running out of money? But that's my little.
I will
that's
say
my little
that,
claw.
I will say that there were quite a few comments at the school committee meeting last night about the fact that part of why they're in this position is that they have been required by state law to add some positions, English as the second language, and then some of the emotional support positions. And then frankly, that I think they got a lackluster increase from the state last year of like $100,000. Well, I mean, come on, all you have to do is take a trip to Shaw's and you know
Right.
$100,000 is not going to cover the gap for the increases that the school district has had. So again, I'm not, you know, I'm not saying, I'm not pointing fingers, I'm just, there's a lot of, it's a like a Rubik's Cube with a lot of little complicated moving parts. And
Do we know how many emotional support positions that we have over in that school?
I do not know that because I am not on the school committee. But
Is
they.
that the 31 people that got
No, it
hired?
is not. No, it is not. They definitely have talked about it at the school committee meetings, and the school committee members absolutely know that. I don't want to misspeak.
Nobody knows how many.
No,
that they have.
they know.
They do, oh yeah, they do,
yeah,
but
yeah.
will they tell us how many?
Yes, yes,
They
they're
go to a
speaking
meeting,
about it in
they'll
an
talk about it.
open
Okay.
meeting, very open about it, open, it's all public information anyway. So, you know, and I think it's hard to dispute. You know, I mean, Joe's in the mental health field, he'll tell you, and even talking to Robbie O'Brien, almost 1/3 of the calls that we get are mental health related in town for the fire and ambulance. That's astounding compared to what we used to get. So I don't, you know, it's not my place to argue that any emotional support positions weren't needed. How many? I don't know. I'm not a superintendent. That's not my area of expertise, and I don't want to micromanage them. But what I do want to make sure is that there's a partnership and that there's accountability. And I think that's where, we have got plans to do a forensic audit, and we will continue with those plans to go back and take a look at some of the aspects of the budget and just kick the tires, trust but verify. You know, okay, how is the money being spent, and are there any accounts that we're not aware of that we need to have a conversation about? Just like we are frequently audited, we're just saying, and how our other departments are audited. This is Whitman and Hanson's.
How soon
you
would
know,
that audit be
well,
done?
I think, Lisa, I know we hired Mark Abrams and made the decision to do
When you went to
that.
the meeting, did they say they were gonna lay anybody off?
Yes, I did, I thought I just mentioned that.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, that there are positions they're not filling, and there are some
So
positions that they're
some
going.
people are getting laid off. over
Well, yes, but they have to be careful because they've got a union contract, and they may have people that are retiring that they're not replacing, but they can't say who that is because not everybody's put in their retirement paperwork, and there's notices and pink slip requirements and all that stuff, and so they can't get into specifics, so they had to kind of play it a little, you know, close to the vest. They can't, you know, talk about, you know, Joe, you know, whatever, if Joe hasn't officially given his notice and, you know, and all of that. So they've got to be, you
But
know,
back to the audit, how soon can that happen?
yeah, so,
So actually, I had just received, there's an email that I received, basically, David King, who works with the Abrams Group, with Mark Abrams, he is planning on meeting with Jeff either, it looks like Thursday, the 11th, or next Tuesday, or the week of April 22nd, so there is movement on this.
and that, the good part about that is, Mr. Stanbrook, I believe, is staying till the end of June, right? I think
I
that's,
believe
I
so,
think
but I
that's what they
think
told
I-
us. So,
yeah.
because we really, it would be unfortunate for us to try to do a forensic audit with an absolutely brand-new business manager there who, you know, is still getting their feet wet. So at least, Mr. Stanbrook will be there at least for the preliminary
So it will happen
conversation.
between now and June.
Yeah, I mean, at least the intake part of it will happen. I don't know how long it will take for them to give us
The
results.
analysis and
Yeah,
stuff,
so I didn't mean to get off topic on that, but I just, that was really in response to David's sort of like, you know, what can we do, like, what do we know and what does the school committee know? And, you know, it's sort of like, they're a separately elected board, and they're, as I said, they believe that they're doing their job, they're doing it to the best of their ability, just like we like to think that we are. That doesn't mean there aren't gonna be naysayers out there saying that we're not doing what we need to do, or that they're not doing what they need to do, but I don't think it's a productive conversation for us to, personally, for us, you know.
I just wish I could go to meetings until I can retire.
Well, you know what, you can, the beauty
Well,
of
you can watch 'em
YouTube, you can
afterwards,
watch
but
it
you can't watch 'em
afterwards.
right there.
Well, it might be less painful maybe to, because you can fast forward, but,
This is true.
yeah. Anyway, so the assessment that would be talking about, the override amount would be, again, 372,141?
Correct.
Ms. Green?
Yes.
So I think for the, Mr. Kincher, if anything you want to chime in, any color commentary here?
No, all that will happen is, the budget will be presented with the 5% increase. Then there'll be another article, the override.
Yep.
If that article passes, it will just be added to the school assessment.
Yep, okay. Ms. Federoff, anything else on that subject?
No, I think you covered it really clearly, Laura.
We've probably beaten that little nag and she's ready to go off to the glue factory, so, all right, so, then I think the way this probably needs to work, Ms. Green, is we need somebody to make a motion and then second, and then for the board to take a vote to place an override article in the, May, annual town meeting warrant, and then we will, vote on whether we recommend it or not.
You also, you'll also need to vote on placing that on the ballot
Okay,
as well.
yep,
And which we've already
Yeah.
drafted the language.
okay, so I
That's
will,
what I was gonna say, you have to, because the board has the
Yep.
authority to put this as a ballot question.
Okay.
So the board has to, you have the language in front of you, Lisa, for the ballot question.
I can have it, I can print it out.
if you can
and
make that happen, that would be
present it.
amazing.
Because it
So,
has to be presented precisely.
Okay.
I will
That print out.
entertain a motion to place a warrant article in the annual town meeting for a school override of $372,141.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, aye. And I should note, Mr. Heel, who has most excellent attendance, is not here because he is away. So, he's not here for any other reason. Okay, and then, so we are placing the article, and then I will entertain a motion to recommend, the article for a $372,141 override for, schools.
Would you entertain a motion to defer to town meeting?
I would second that motion.
Because I will entertain a motion to recommend the 5%, which is what we all agreed on. I will make a motion to defer to town meeting for the 7.68 unless someone else wants to make a different motion.
All right, so you guys are saying you are willing to support placing it, but you're just essentially deferring to the voters at town meeting.
It's
to
their
make-
tax money. I
Yep.
want them to figure out what they think is the best use of their tax money. I
Okay.
refuse to cut any operating jobs, positions, or line items to fund this. And I think that if the townspeople do want to have their tax money go to this because they feel like it needs to be funded, I think we have to allow them to give their voice through their vote, and I don't think we should be influencing them in any way.
Okay, that's fine. So you are making a motion to refer this to town meeting?
Yes.
Okay,
And I am seconding that.
okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
It's gonna go to town meeting.
Well, it was gonna go to town meeting anyway, but we're just not, we're not like saying we absolutely recommend it.
Have we voted on putting it on the ballot?
Yes, it's on the ballot.
Okay, so.
No, we haven't put it on the ballot yet because Ms. Green's got specific
She's gotta get
language.
the language.
But we have put it in the warrant.
Okay.
So the first step is it has to be voted at town meeting to place it on the
Correct.
ballot, and
Okay.
we need that language, so. All right,
Yeah, I agree with Joe. I think that let the taxpayers make up their mind. Let them vote on it.
okay, is that the language, or?
Yeah, so if you want to pass that out to everybody.
I'll just, I can just do it.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion, I don't see a motion here.
Oh, no, that's
just
just,
language.
that's
Yeah.
the language. That will
place
be
this
language
article.
For the, article and the ballot, the same language will be on the ballot.
So am I just reading this as a motion?
I have to send
I thought it had to be very specific.
Can I see, I think it's
all the same
multiple
stuff.
copies, yeah.
It-
There's a copy for everybody there.
It's not a motion, it's just an article.
No, but you're,
I don't know what you have in front of you, but the motion should be something like, I move to place the following question.
yeah, okay, that's what we've got. Okay, okay, so did you want to do that?
Yeah, I move to place the following question on the town ballot for the May 2024 town election to determine whether the town will raise and appropriate an additional $372,141 from taxation to fund Whitman Hanson Regional School District operating assessment in fiscal year 2025, provided, however, that the amount raised and appropriated hereunder shall be expressly contingent upon the approval by the voters at an election of a so-called Proposition 2.5 override question in accordance with the provisions of Chapter 59, Section 21C, G.
No.
Nope.
Can I interrupt? I'm
Oh.
sorry. So that's what the warrant article says?
That's what I thought.
That's fine, we didn't, he still needs to go through here, but you'll have to remedy the article by saying it's not for the ballot, it's for the actual wording for the article, and we'll vote on it again, it's fine. And then we'll have to have you coach us on what we say for the ballot. Oh, so keep going.
Okay. You want me to just finish what I was saying?
If you
Yeah.
want, I wrote one right now. Do you want me to
Okay.
read it?
Yeah, if you don't mind, thank you.
So it would be this, and you could say so moved. So it would be, I move to place the following question on the annual town meeting election occurring in May 2024 as follows. Question 1, shall the town of Hanson be allowed to assess an additional $372,141 in real estate and various real estate and property taxes to pay the town's assessed share of the fiscal year 2025 operating budget of the Whitman Hanson Regional School District for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2024.
So moved.
Seconded.
Okay, any further discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right, thank you. And then similarly, okay, so then can we read this language from the article and read to place this exact language, this article language, and then we will take another vote to refer to town meeting after you've read this and we've taken the vote to place.
Well-
Because we didn't have this language, so it was very vague, and I want to make sure we've got the specific language for the article.
Well, Kate, can you, as far as the language you just read, is that language sufficient for the ballot, or do we need to have additional,
That
different
was the
language
ballot.
for the ballot?
Is that for the
That was the
ballot?
ballot question.
The language that I read was for the ballot question.
Right.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize that you were going to do that motion tonight. So that was
okay.
for the ballot question.
Oh, okay.
And is that definitely going to be question 1?
Yeah, question 1.
It's definitely going to be question 1?
Well, in question 1 on the ballot.
That's what I mean, on the ballot.
I think you only have one
Yeah,
question.
she's using
Sure.
one.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, please.
You only have one question, and it's going to be on the ballot because the ballot's going to be
Yes.
printed before town meeting.
So regardless of whether town meeting, but if it is on there and town meeting doesn't vote, it's just null and void.
Not necessarily.
Oh, really? So,
Because it's a two-parter.
okay,
If it passes at town meeting.
Yep.
If it passes at the ballot, then it passes.
right,
If it doesn't pass at town meeting, it's already on the ballot.
yes.
If it passes at the ballot, you can call another town meeting.
Okay, well, let's hope that that second, no, okay, you're going worst case scenario on me,
that's
okay,
interesting.
I like it. So I hope it doesn't happen, but,
That's, I just wanted
okay.
to- I just-
Thank you for that clarification.
And I'm so sorry, I couldn't hear it. Was that Beth?
That was Beth, yes.
I couldn't hear what
Yeah,
she said.
she was basically saying that if it passes at town meeting and then passes at the ballot, okay, fine. If it doesn't pass at town meeting, but it passes at the ballot, then we'll have to go back to town meeting again and go through the whole process, which we've never had happen, and I hope this isn't the time that it does happen, but, yeah. Okay. All right, great. All right. So, shall we try this one more time with feeling, for the article itself?
Make a motion to place an article on the 2024 May annual town meeting as follows, to determine whether the town will raise and appropriate an additional $372,141 from taxation to fund the Whitman Hanson Regional School District operating assessment in fiscal year 2025, provided, however, that the amount raised and appropriated hereunder shall be expressly contingent upon approval by the voters at an election of a so-called Proposition 2.5 override question in accordance with the provisions of Chapter 59, Section 21C, G of the general laws, or take any other action in relation thereto. With the following explanation, this article refers to the FY 2025 annual budget line that would be increased if a Whitman Hanson Regional School District operational assessment override is voted at the May 2024 annual town election.
Okay, so, you've made the motion to place that, and is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor of placing? Okay, and then, in terms of recommending, did somebody want to, again, make the, motion to refer to town meeting?
I will make that motion.
Oh, that was second.
Okay, all in favor? Okay, great. Now, let's move upward and onward. Okay, announce highway updates. In executive session last week, we voted to, bring Steve Graham, to highway supervisor. We had previously, voted to have him as our interim highway director. And so we voted, to have him as our highway supervisor. Yet again, I will entertain that motion.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And we had a discussion regarding Kurt McLean, becoming our interim highway director. And again, in executive session, this is the first that we've discussed in an open session, so I will entertain that motion. And that was for a period beginning, what date, Ms. Green?
That was, he came on, Monday, April 1st.
Okay, Monday, April 1st, and for a period to be determined,
Yeah, I think we said 6 months.
6 months.
Or until we do hire a new
Yeah,
highway
okay.
director.
So I will entertain that motion.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, great. Accept donation of $200 for the Veterans Gift Fund. In your packet, there's a description of that, which I, of course, cannot find. Thank you very much. We've got a donation of $200. I will entertain a motion to accept that donation.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, great. And then we have approved request for Hanson Middle School 8th grade students to clean up the town's skate park. And of course, we hopefully will move to approve that. But since we're on this subject, I just want to remind everybody, and we will be putting this out on our town website, that any use of town property requires that the select board approve it. So you can't just kind of go, AWOL and just, schedule an event and hold it on town property. Certainly, you are taxpayers and you are entitled to the use of town property. But in order to make sure that we are covered legally and that there's no schedule conflicts amongst the various stakeholder groups, you need to coordinate and go through our select board office to request permission, which this group is doing, so kudos to you. So with that, I will entertain a motion to approve the request for the Hanson Middle School 8th grade students to clean up the town skate park.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? I think this is a great little exercise. Okay, old business, Ms. Green, May annual special town meeting warrant review.
Okay, so You all have the most up-to-date town meeting warrants for the May annual town meeting and special town meeting. There hasn't really been any changes to the special town meeting warrant. That has remained the same. The annual town meeting, though does reflect changes as far as based on a new budget. We did have town council did review the articles and provided information, suggestions, and edits. You'll see Article 4, which was the right to farm article, has been stricken, and I do have some information from our town planner regarding that article, that if the board chooses, I would like to read.
That would be great. If you will recall at our last meeting, we just felt like we should have the planning board kick the tires since it was going to be a zoning bylaw, if you will, and have some impact. So we thought we would ask our brethren in planning to chime in.
Okay, so this is right to farm information. On April 11, 2024, at a regularly scheduled public meeting, the Hanson Planning Board, at the request of the Hanson Select Board, reviewed the right to farm warrant article, which is proposed for the May annual town meeting. The board offers the following comments. That the Select Board table the article until October town meeting to allow for further discussion and research of the law. That the Select Board consider seeking an opinion from town council. That the Select Board review and seek information from communities that have implemented the right to farm law. And basically, our town planner, Tony DeFrayis, is available to the board for any further questions, but those are their 3 recommendations.
So I think that's kind of where we were at the last
Yep.
meeting, but we weren't sure. You know, we just felt like we needed more information because we weren't sure if there might be pitfalls for the unwary. So I think all of those suggestions are excellent. We obviously did have town council take a look at it, but town council isn't going to necessarily advise us on whether this is good for Hanson or not good for Hanson. If that's our decision. And, but I do think it's a good idea for us to talk to other towns and find out if there were pitfalls for the unwary that they said, if we were doing it again, we might have included this language, or we might have, changed that or whatever. And there's enough towns around us that have, that are a right to farm town. And I don't think that there wasn't any particular sense of urgency to get this done. We were just trying to be responsive to somebody who had said, hey, why aren't we a right to farm town? And we said, well, we could be if we put in an article. Do you guys agree that we should just delete this and put it in the parking lot for October?
Yes.
Okay, I will entertain that motion.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Great. All right, Ms. Green, carry on.
Okay. Article 5 is our budget article. That will have the budget attached to the informational warrant.
When do we think we might have that in hand? Excuse me.
Well, we actually, our town accountant finished the budget today, so basically we have it in hand tomorrow.
Okay,
And the finance committee will be reviewing it this evening as well.
okay.
So, and actually, there is a copy of the budget in your packets.
Okay.
As well. All right, so Article 6. Article 6 is they're zoning violation fines from the building department. They are not from the planning board, and they are not from the zoning board of appeals. This is from the building department for fines for violations.
I think we placed and recommended that, so,
Yeah, we did.
yeah.
So this is the same article.
What was that one for?
That was the increase in the fines for violations.
For zoning violations.
Zoning, yeah, for,
And my
yeah.
question was, and I don't know if it's happened because I haven't been with the zoning board, but if it's housed in the zoning bylaw, it needs a public hearing, so I don't know if that's happened, even though it's just the fines. It needs to be published in a public hearing.
Okay. And so I don't believe there has been a hearing, Kate. Who, if it's being proposed by the building department, who holds the hearing?
So if it's a zoning bylaw, which the article seems to suggest, then it's a planning board hearing.
Okay, so we may need to table this
Just like any
one.
other zoning bylaw.
Okay, so we may
And it
need
has
to
to be
table
published
this.
in the newspaper 14 day, for twice within the 14-day period before the hearing.
Okay, all right, so again,
Looks
this
like
might be one for our October town meeting.
October. Okay, so we may need to table this one.
All right, so I will entertain a motion to remove this from the town meeting warrant.
So moved. Do we know for a fact, though, that there was no hearing or anything? Just because we
Yeah, there
didn't
was
hear
not
about
a hearing
Okay,
on it,
I just wanted
yes.
to confirm.
Okay, all in favor? Okay, Article 7. Were there a couple little tweaks to that, Ms. McDowell? Or,
Yes, there were.
and that was the wage and personnel?
They're both under section 11A, professional positions. C, inspector buildings full-time. In October, his salary, well, that person's salary was adjusted 51,700 to 80 already. He had it at the lower amount. And the G for town planner, that was already again in October adjusted to be 70,000 to 105,000.
Okay. So we had voted to place and recommend, so we will need to revisit that. In light, I'm not suggesting we'll have a different end result, but in light of the change, I will entertain a motion to recommend the revised article.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, Article 8, that's no-brainer, rename. 9, we voted to place and recommend.
10.
10, we voted to place because it was a money article. We didn't know what was going to be happening with the school assessment. I think we also wanted to hear from FinCom on that. It seems to me as though if our next meeting isn't until the 23rd,
Yeah.
and you need to all go to print and have this locked down by the 18th, that we need to make a decision this evening about it, or having another meeting, which I know how popular that is. Do we have any intel on where FinCom is leaning with this, Mr. Kinshirf?
Okay, well, they're reviewing everything now, but if all these articles that are using free cash, are recommended by the board or approved at town meeting, and we use free cash to balance the budget, we'll have like 311,000 remaining. So, you could conceivably recommend all these articles with free cash, and we'd still have enough to fund the budget. So, that's kind of where we're at.
And would have how much left over at the end of the day?
311,000.
Okay, all right, that's what I thought you said, I just wanted to double check. Okay. In, the John Deere tractor and the vibratory roller, it seems to me as though, might benefit from a sanity check from our current interim highway director as to whether he believes that that equipment is in fact needed now. I know that there's,
I'm sure they do need it.
Well, the problem is
there's
that
been some
they have
questions.
stuff up there that
Well-
we've bought them that they haven't ever used. It sounded like he had a wish list that he was, and we were just giving it to
Yeah,
him.
but I don't think it was lawnmowers.
Well,
That
it
other
wasn't
thing's nothing
lawnmowers.
but.
No, but I just think we would benefit from a sanity check from Kurt McLean on this. I'm fine, provisionally approving to recommend it based on Kurt saying that he
The
thinks.
vibrating thing you're talking about, that's what they use for asphalt,
Yeah,
to hammer it down.
yeah. But I mean, the John Deere tractor, that's a lot of money. It's $150,000. It's actually almost half of what
Just happened.
we're using, well, did you want to?
Yeah, I was gonna say, the
Yeah.
capital improvement committee already
Yep.
vetted these things as items that we actually need to invest in, so.
Did you speak to Mr. Shav when you were?
No, but the chairman did.
Okay, all right, okay. Okay, then, what is the will of the board? To recommend this?
Make a motion to recommend.
Okay. Okay, all in favor? Okay. I still would like, a sanity check from Kurt on it, but, you know, it is what it is. We can always remove if he has a very strong violent reaction to it. Okay, capital improvement, this is the 35, and we voted to place and recommend, so we're good on that. Article 12, we voted to place and recommend. Article 13, we voted to place and recommend. Article 14, we voted to, place and recommend. How did we end up with the place and recommend 4-0 on,
Mr. Keelan stepped out for a while.
Oh, okay, that's fine, it just seemed odd, okay. And Article 16, we, same place, both, okay. And then, do we have any intel on Article 17, which was a mystifying article at our last meeting?
Kate, I'll let you chime in on that one, and then we did update it with, a simpler explanation, so.
Great.
So Article 17 has to go in this particular way because this is the language, if you recall, it's we need legislation which allows us to do this because we got legislation originally to allow us to do this.
Yep.
It was property that was being not removed entirely from Article 97 protection. So remember, Article 97 is the constitutional protection for open space in Massachusetts. So when land has Article 97 protection, if you are altering the use, you need legislative approval. And the property, it must be replaced by other property, okay? Now here, you're not actually eliminating the land from Article 97, but you're putting it to a different purpose within 97. So it was open space, and now it's going to be open space and wellhead purposes, right? Both are 97 protected, but regardless, you have to replace the land. And the land that we thought we were replacing it with was property that was presented to us by, I don't know, some department, and it was missized. So what the assessor thought was 21,000 square feet was actually more like 3,000 square feet.
Okay.
So we need this correction,
Yeah.
and that legal mumbo jumbo, I'm sorry, it just has to be.
No, please, I mean, this is, extremely, easily understood as compared to the other thing that we had, which was like, we did not get our decoder rings along with that, so we could not make heads or tails of it. Did anybody have any questions for, either Kate or Lisa about this? All right, so I will entertain a motion to place and recommend
So moved.
Article 17.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Okay. Article 18. We again placed and recommended that, so we're good on that. See if the town, the planning board administrative assistant, Ms. Green.
So this, I did speak with our town planner about this, and let him know that at this time, we were not gonna be able to entertain increasing the administrative assistant to the planning board to the 22.5 hours, so.
All right, I will entertain a motion to remove this from the
Yeah, we
warrant.
need to remove this.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Okay. Article 20, we definitely discussed this. Huh?
Okay.
What do you say?
It was placed in the home.
Okay, it didn't, what we've got in front of us didn't say that. Are you absolutely certain, or should we, out of an abundance of caution? Okay. I will entertain a motion to place Article 20.
And recommend?
Yes.
So moved.
Second.
Actually, the reason I said place is because I believe this is another one that we had voted to refer to town meeting.
Yes, we did.
What's it?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
so I'll make a motion to place and refer to town meeting.
Okay, great. All in favor? And Kate, are we okay to make a place and recommend, place and refer all in one motion, or ought it be two?
Sure.
Okay, great. I was second guessing myself, great. Okay, so we have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, great. Article 21, all set on that. We already placed to vote and recommend, okay, place and recommend 22, we're good on that. 23, we're whipping right along here. 24, looking good. 25, same thing. 26,
It just says placed on it.
wait a minute,
25.
25, placed. 15, why was that? I guess probably we wanted to know, because it was a money article.
Yeah.
We weren't sure where we were gonna land. So now that we know that we are able to probably afford that,
Make a
according to
motion to
Mr.
recommend.
Kincher. Okay, great. Second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Okay, great. So we're recommending
here
Article
with Smitty's
26.
That was 25.
25, right, I'm sorry, and then same thing with 26. I will entertain a motion to recommend.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Great. Okay, and then 27, we struck that. 28, we have struck that. 29, we have
Do you need a motion to strike?
struck that. 30,
Do you need a
we,
motion to remove
well-
27, 8, and 9? Didn't we do that?
let's just do it out of an abundance of caution. I think that will be tidier. So I will entertain a motion to delete Article 27, 28, and 29 from the warrant.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? All right, great. And then
Can
Article...
I ask why we're deleting 29, just for the sake of...
I think there's an X. Let's see what that was.
It just
I can-
says,
I can provide that. This was the Municipal Empowerment Act that has not yet been signed into legislation.
Gotcha.
When I did reach out to all the South Shores managers towns, none of them were placing this on the warrant at this point. They were gonna wait until it actually passed.
That makes sense, because originally, when we were talking about it last week, we were gonna try to have to fashion some language about contingent upon it passing, yada, yada. This way, if we wait till October, it hopefully will be locked down. Okay. All right, Article 30, we placed and recommended that. 31, we...
4-1.
Yeah, well, we voted anyway, one way or the other. And Article 32, we voted to place, and actually, interesting. So, we've already voted on this, actually. This was the article we just read. Did we read that verbatim? I believe we did. Yes.
So what we can do is we can modify the language to the verbatim one that we read.
Okay.
Into this.
Because that's the article that we already,
Yes.
so,
Yes.
And we deferred.
so, okay, so Article 32 will be the article that is there some procedural motion that we should be making to sub in language, Kate, from what we have in front of us to what we were provided with?
No, because I heard, and maybe I misheard him, but I heard Joe read the article.
Yes.
Am I wrong at the beginning?
Yeah.
Or did you just read the ballot question, Joe?
No, he read both. He yeah.
So then it's already done. You don't
Okay.
need to do anything now, just because it so happens to fall on.
All right. And then,
And just have it reflected that we voted to defer to town meeting for that.
yeah. And then Article 33, Ms. Green.
Oh, so this is the revolving fund, the accounts, it is always in our warrant. It normally is more closer to the front, but on our review, we realized that we had not placed it in the middle, so it's here at the end. So these are the spending limits for the revolving accounts, and it's under our general bylaw. All of these spending limits, none of them have changed from what has been approved prior.
Okay, and these are the final numbers?
Yes.
Okay, so we don't need that little thing. Okay, then I will entertain a motion to place and recommend Article 33.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, and then Article 34.
We didn't vote. All those
Oh,
in favor?
thank you, I'm sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Great, thanks for keeping me honest. Article 34, see if the town will vote to adopt a capital improvement program. Have we gotten a matrix?
So I'm waiting to get the matrix from, the chair, the capital improvement.
So I
So-
think we need to vote to place, and then we can always vote to recommend, we can do recommendations after the fact anyway, but we definitely have to vote to place it. Okay, so I will,
You can do recommendations even the day
Yeah,
that meeting
yep.
that we have on town meeting if you need to.
yep, exactly. Okay, so I will entertain a motion to place Article 34.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Great. Article 35, we voted on that. We voted to,
Position.
refer to town meeting, really. But I don't actually see that noted in here. We don't need to vote to place, so we didn't vote to place, but we did vote to refer to town meeting, so we just want to make sure that's in the, okay, anything else on this?
The only
Okay.
thing that I have is just, I get putting the budget in the back to try to strategically keep people in town meeting as long as possible, but part of me questions whether or not people are gonna be able to make, judgments, because you do see people that kind of follow along with, what we're doing.
So, I mean, yeah, so you're thinking it should be,
The
mean-
budget is actually Article 5.
Well, one of the budgets is Article 5.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah, so I think if you're given two budgets, I think they should be kind of side by side. Because we kind of talked about that
I
last
see
week.
what you're saying, yep, we did talk about
Yeah,
that.
how are people gonna make a,
So which article
Here's-
should be moved?
Well, I mean, I think, yeah, that's tricky, because I'm sort of neutral about where it is, but they do need to be side by side.
I agree, I think the one question is that you have to have the two budgets side by side, and then the other one is, where do you think they should be placed? For me, I think they should be side by side at the beginning of the warrant, because having a budget at 5% versus having a budget at 7%, with an override attached to it, I think people are gonna wanna see that first.
What's how is that typically handled, Ms. Federoff, in terms of placement? I know it's totally up to us, but logistically, what's your recommendation on that?
And I'm so sorry, I just have a little trouble hearing Joe. So are you asking, should the budget article and the contingent budget article be close together?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, there's no legal requirement for
Right.
it, but just as a matter of practical discussion, I think it makes sense to
Yeah.
have them next to each other, one right after the other.
Yeah, because you're gonna have a whole subset of people that are gonna read this warrant prior, but then you're gonna have a whole bunch of people that are reading it for the first time, and they're gonna be voting on a budget at the beginning of the meeting, and then they're gonna find a second budget at the end of the meeting. So,
Yeah, I don't like the idea of putting it early in the meeting, because I fear that once the decision is made about the override or no override, we're gonna have a mass exodus and we won't have a quorum, and that's just a reality. I know it will
Are you
happen.
talking about Article 32?
yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so move
We're
Article
saying,
5 to Article 32.
we're saying, well, move them somewhere. We don't
Yeah,
know if
make
5 to
a-
32 or 32 to
Yeah.
5, but,
Right.
Yeah, either bring 32 up or move Article 5 back. I think you should bring it all the way up, because I don't believe that we should be making decisions, financial decisions and capital decisions without approving the budget first. 'Cause
which
we're
is
doing-
why 5 is where it is.
Right.
So,
Well, we did, you did vote to remove Article 6, so we can just replace Article 6 with that,
Article
Article
32.
34.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's not a hill I'm wanting to die on, I just want us to.
no, I
think
think it's a great point, and it's a logical one. I mean, people aren't gonna, I think it's a better way for people to kind of compartmentalize, like, this is budget. And then the decisions that we make, you know, and I mean, yeah, if we pass an override, maybe people are less likely to say, you know what, I don't know, you know, fund the Conservation Commission for Phragmite. You know, that's the hill I'm gonna die. I don't know. I just worry that if we put it that early, we're gonna be sitting there talking to ourselves for the rest of the town meeting, and everybody's gonna get up and leave.
I don't disagree. The flip side, though, is the budget might be debated for so long that people end up leaving after that, not knowing that there's another budget.
But what if we put it towards both of them towards the end? Where do you stand on that?
I just think both of them, wherever they are, have to be together.
What do you think about
And then-
moving it towards the end?
Well,
Not the actual,
This is not legal advice, but I'd be afraid to put them at the end, because what if you lose a quorum and then you don't have a budget?
that's what I was
Well,
saying.
that's my biggest,
Yeah.
but you're looking at it conversely. I think that we have to move it to the front and just take the risk that at the end, everybody's still there, because the worst of the worst-case scenarios is we don't have a quorum at the end to approve the budget.
People are not going to leave if both budget articles are towards the end. They're not gonna leave.
You don't know that, though.
I would bet on, and I'm not even a betting person, but I would bet on that. Because that's the main reason people are gonna be coming to town meeting.
I don't disagree.
Yeah.
I don't disagree. What I'm saying is that I do think, though, that the budget should be at the front before we start spending money.
Okay,
His logic is, valid,
it is valid.
so you gotta move that 32 up to 6.
Can we,
Do you want to put the non-budget, non-monetary ones first, and then do the budget so you get through some of it?
I mean, that might be, is that like a nightmare?
Instead of paying the
No,
neck.
that's why I didn't resort everything now, because I thought it'd be easier to discuss where we want to place things, instead of resorting them and then having to resort them.
Right.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Yeah, all right, so we'll move 32 to after 5, but, which may not be 5, but in that vicinity. And then we'll put some other items nearby to kind of dispose of
So
some.
procedural question here, there is someone going to be checking to make sure that we always have a quorum throughout the whole meeting.
No, that's not what happens. Actually, so they do the quorum, the town clerk will tell the moderator what the count is.
Right.
And then it's presumed that there's a quorum throughout the meeting unless somebody says, you know, I want,
challenges.
yeah, so somebody has to challenge it. And there have been times when in my mind, I'm like, oh boy, that, you know, sports field article just passed and a bunch of parents just walked out. I don't know if we have a quorum,
Right.
but nobody questioned it, and, you know, and it was like, you know, borderline kind of thing. So, but that's the way that works. I have seen people question it, and I think there was one time, at least that I can remember, where we had to reconvene the next night because we had lost the quorum.
Lost the quorum.
Yeah, so, but of course, that's even riskier, because trying to get people back for a second night after you lost the quorum the first night, they're not much of an incentive unless there's big money articles. Okay, so we don't need to know the order in order to be able to close the article, because we voted on placing, and what number they are is sort of, doesn't really matter. It's irrelevant. So I will entertain a motion to close the May annual town meeting warrant.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Okay, great. All right, anything else on that, Ms. Green?
No, I think that's.
And we were on lockdown on the special town meeting warrant, so we're good on that. And then that brings us to approving open session minutes from March 26th, April 1st, and April 2nd. I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Kinshirf. All in favor? And I will entertain a motion to approve the one-day liquor licenses for 4/19/24 and 6/30/24.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Great. I do not have any update on my committee. We're in committee updates. Are there any committee updates?
The only one I have for High Street is just we have another open meeting on the 15th. That's it.
Okay. Anything else?
No.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, it's a holiday. Yeah. Yeah, we're still meeting.
All right. It's a hardcore group there. All right, town administrator report.
Okay, not very long, it's been a long time between last Tuesday and now, but, Madam Chair, Vice Chair, members of the board, I just wanted to piggyback on, Select Board Chair comment on the attending of the eclipse viewing yesterday at the library. They did a great job, Karen Stolford, the library director, and her staff, they did a great job with, organizing the event. They had snacks, they were able to provide some of the glasses. Unfortunately, they didn't have enough for everybody who came in, so, there were kids there with cereal boxes, with tin foil and things like that. So the weather was really phenomenal, with all of the rain and clouds and cold. The weather was phenomenal, so it was a great community event. And again, kudos and a shout out to our library for that. The ARPA money, I submitted the application for the ambulance. We have the quote, so I was able to submit that. So that is now in review. The application for the Pratt Place culvert design phase is pending level 3, so it made it through level 1 and level 2 review, so it's pending level 3, which is great. It's going in the right direction. So once the design funding is approved for our ARPA, we can move forward with the engineers to design either constructing the new culvert or repairing the current culvert. And then once we have the cost of whether we're going, it's repairable or we need a whole new when we have the construction costs, then I can submit the second ARPA application for those funds. So moving in the right direction on that. Back when in 2021, late 2021, I believe, we entered into electric and natural gas supply contracts with Sprague Energy, and it's now time to look into rates for those two contracts. I'm going to be having Robert Savory, who is the gentleman that presented before the board back in 2021 on this. So he is putting together some figures, and he's going to be presenting again to the board probably sometime in May, unless it's required, unless we need to act on these sometime sooner. But those contracts have saved the town approximately $40,373 in natural gas and electricity costs. So they were definitely worth entering into it and locking in those rates at the time. I have been speaking with our Meyer Employee Assistance Program representative. He is putting together a training program for our department heads. Some of the trainings will include leadership skills, how to conduct performance evaluations, cohesion building, and navigating challenging situations. We hope to start the program in May, and basically it'll be like a 1-hour training in May, 1 in June, 1 in July. So we'll break it up over a number of months. And hopefully this will prove valuable to the department heads in their ability to be department heads and managers. And the office has been dedicating a lot of time to town meeting preparation, budget preparation, personal matters. Lynn and Emily have been working very, very hard on all of these. Emily with making sure all of our Facebook postings are up to date and information is up to date. So kudos to Lynn and Emily on all their help. And I was going to talk about the audit, but we talked about that earlier. There was a meeting scheduled with David King, who works with Mark Abrams, to meet with Jeff to discuss the documentation and information requests. And that completes my town administrator for
Ms. Green, what progress are we making on employee reviews, on our department heads giving employee reviews? And the reason I ask is that this board has been extremely vocal about the fact that we need to have our employees getting feedback. And it seems to me as though I'm not sure really what the downside is if a department head should decide that they aren't going to give any kind of a review. And I think that we need to probably think about tying that in somehow to increases next year. I know it's a new concept, and so there'll be some onboarding, some learning curve issues with the department heads learning how to do it and getting comfortable with it, and I know you're doing the training. But I think, I don't know how else we can make sure that it's getting done. It doesn't seem, has anybody given reviews to any of the employees?
I don't believe anybody's actually given a review. We did give we gave the employees a copy of the self-evaluation, so the employees did get that. The department heads were given a copy of the self-evaluation for the department heads. I haven't heard that any reviews have been done yet. I'm thinking that once we have the training on how to conduct a performance evaluation, the department heads will hopefully feel more comfortable with doing it. Where it
Given a due date?
hasn't been done. That is one of the first, so we have the leadership skills and then how to conduct performance evaluations. So if we're gonna start in May, I can swap the two, but this type of schedule is how our representative thinks might be the better training.
No, I'm sorry. Have we given the department heads a due date by which they must conduct reviews?
We have not at this time.
Okay, so I think, certainly it's up to you to make that determination, but typically people will not comply with the dictate unless there's a deadline. And, so probably get through the training and maybe look at, I don't know when you get the training, summer is kind of like a lost cause anyway, trying to get people to do things and with vacation and training and blah, blah, blah. But to me, I would think a September-ish timeframe would be a good deadline.
Yeah, so once we have the training on how to conduct the performance evaluation, we could talk to the department heads and get their feedback on how comfortable they feel. And if they are able to get an evaluation done over the summertime, I would like to see it by Labor Day, basically. And I think hopefully at that point, once they've had the training, if they still need more guidance, I can step in and help with that. But I think we can get them done over the summertime.
Okay.
For hopefully a Labor Day.
Do you guys have any thoughts on this?
There was a project around the policies and procedures as well. We haven't heard an update on that in a while, so not tonight, but maybe next time we can get an update on what the status of that is.
Yeah.
I can give you a quick update.
You can wait until
No?
next week.
Okay, all right.
I appreciate
Do it the
that.
next one, sure.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I keep hearing and buzzing about is the fact that there are still meeting minutes and recordings that are missing. I'm
Yes.
getting feedback from several people on this.
We have several boards and committees at
Is it,
Town
I
Hall.
think planning board is one of them?
No, planning is not.
Planning's not? Okay.
ZBA is one of them. They are doing minutes, but they're not posting
They're
them
not
on the
posting them,
website. And the recordings, I don't know I don't know what's going on with those. So maybe, Ms. Green, you could speak to them.
I know that we've got
There's
an
several
article
others,
about that.
and I don't, we've got a warrant article about, we already passed a warrant article that said you need to record your meetings and you need to post them on the Whitman Hanson Community Access Television. So it could be either an audio recording or a video recording, because we don't want to, kind of like break people's kneecaps over it if they don't have the, maybe people don't have like an admin or something and they're doing it by themselves. And we were going to have a bylaw about the minutes, but I think we're sort of told, well, you guys could just come up with the policy. That did not work. So what I would really like to see happen is I'd like to see if our office, I don't know, maybe Emily or something, might be able to go through and forensically take a look at who is...
We've already been doing it.
You have?
Yeah.
Okay. And put together a list of who the offenders are, basically. And I think we need to know, because when we go to reappoint people at the end of June, it may be that there's just not a capacity to do it or a knowledge that they are doing it, in which case that's a different situation. But if it's a case of we just, hell no, we won't go, we're not going to comply type of thing, that's a that's a different situation. We're trying to encourage transparency, we're trying to encourage engagement. If we don't put that information out there, then people are gonna draw their own conclusion, and honestly, they're not gonna be informed and engaged, and that's why this board's trying to get that done. So I don't know what action we can take, but yes, I have heard that same thing, Ann. I have heard the same thing. And it drives me absolutely batty. So, okay, anything else? Okay, all right, then with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn to executive session pursuant to open meeting law, chapter 30A, section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the public body and the chair so declares, building litigation discussion. Executive session pursuant to open meeting law, chapter 30A, section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the public body and the chair so declares, union negotiations with highway administration, police and fire, and then executive session pursuant to open meeting law, chapter 30A, section 21A7, to review and approve executive session minutes, March 26th, April 1st, 2024, April 2nd, 2024. So I will entertain a motion to enter executive session for the reasons I just articulated.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Aye.
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 And we will not be returning to open session. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, great. All right, thank you very much.